No shortening of the school calendar, which means about 179 more days to go in Liverpool, which got its start along with several other school districts today.
Let's welcome School Superintendent Mark Potter back. He's joining us now live. Mark, good to see you. I'm sure it's been a busy day.
Yes, it has, and thank you for having me.
Well, let's get to it. I mean, how was the first day? We know first days are always, fun, exciting, got some bumps in the road, but this is another different one for you. So how'd it go?
Well, obviously, we're trying to create a school year. This is, I would say, normal as normal can be, and I know that's probably a weird word right now. We did bring all of our kids back that were willing to come back, or families were willing to send them. We do have a significant number of families who have switched over to homeschool because there really isn't a real remote option other than the students who have found their way through the exemption process for a medical exemption.
All right, two questions for you. I'm just curious about temperature checks. Are you doing them in your schools? And we're interested in how it went during lunch in the cafeteria where the masks have to come off to eat. How are you handling that situation with the kids as well?
Sure. Based on the information from our medical director, it was recommended to us that don't waste your time with the temperature taking because it really has very little reliability or impact on whether or not somebody's carrying COVID. It's more about if you're feeling sick, stay home. And that's kind of the story we're sticking to with that particular topic. Regarding the cafeteria, as you can imagine, the idea of trying to get about 7,000 kids back to school is challenging. And one of the things we decided, and just speaking specifically about the high school, we switched from 3 lunches to 4 lunches. We also opened up the Wetzel Building's cafeteria. We have a senior lounge. We also have an outdoor courtyard. So we're trying to reduce, which would normally be about 600 kids in our high school cafeteria, down to about half of that. But during that 30-minute lunch, and all of our cafeterias and all of our students have a 30-minute lunch, we're trying to ask the kids to put their masks back on once they're done eating, even if it's 10 or 15 minutes of that lunch period. It does resemble what I would say would be a normal school year, and it does look quite normal with kids in the hallways. And obviously the best we can do is trying to keep kids as socially distanced as we can in the hallways and in the cafeterias as well.
And get people vaccinated. So I'm going to ask you, how are you doing on vaccinations in the district? What's the rate for teachers? What's the rate for the rest of the staff? How are we doing there?
So as you can imagine, our instructional staff, including our teachers, is probably the highest number. We're just about 94%, so we're pretty significantly higher than probably some of the areas throughout the county. What I will say is that people have been very cooperative. We've also partnered or asked the county to partner with us with regard to testing those individuals who decided not to be vaccinated, which I think is an important piece and really the message, trying to keep our staff at work and obviously with kids, whether it's on buses or in cafeterias or in classrooms.
And follow up on the unvaccinated having to test weekly. So what's the plan in Liverpool to handle the recording of those test results? So
as a probably more important piece in confidentiality, we've decided to, we created a database, and it's in my office and my office only. So all of the staff members have sent me a copy or a picture of their vaccination card. We've recorded those. I create that information in the database. And for those individuals who've made a decision not to be vaccinated and have decided to test weekly, I'm also taking that information, those tests, and tracking that in the same database. So it's kind of a one-stop shop. We're handling all of that information internally in my office.
Mark, I want to ask you, we've talked a lot with various schools, you as well over the past several months, about sports. But what about other extracurricular activities? Marching band, drama, chess club, anything else you have? Because right now sports at least have the advantage of being outside, but not everything else. I know marching band can be outside, but how are you handling those other extracurriculars?
So last year, the concept of doing bell covers, I think, was important for our wind instruments, because I think the biggest challenge or the biggest hurdle for many of those programs is obviously, aspirated air and how kids blow through instruments. We have had a construction project in Liverpool High School, specifically for our fine arts wing, and most notably our auditorium. So I guess the good and the bad of the story is that we don't have an auditorium until December 1st. So we have reduced or we haven't eliminated the programs, but we've really reduced the opportunities for many of those programs to really begin until we get to December or January. So many of those programs obviously have been impacted by the time they'll get started, because we don't have a stage or an area for them to practice. But in many cases, elementaries, middle schools, and high school, we do have those programs, being used or being created by many of our staff members. And what we will continue to do is keep those kids physically distanced and spaced out. And we will have our plays and our musicals and those kinds of things as well.
Very good. Liverpool School Superintendent Mark Potter, thank you for taking time out for us tonight.
Thank you.
And we will have the full interview with Mark Potter, as well as the other superintendents who we've interviewed this week, posted for you on our Back to School section. Just head to localsyr.com.